and I am pleased to introduce Beth Johanssen. Beth is an instructional technologist in the Center for Teaching and Learning at Regent University in Virginia Beach, Virginia. CTL supports the faculty and staff at Regent University by providing consulting, training, multimedia production, and developing and implementing teaching strategies. Beth wears many hats in CTL, but a few primary tasks include researching innovative technologies and providing technical support to her team and the faculty. Beth's background is in video production and instructional technology, which she has done in hospital, corporate, community, and university settings in Boston, New Hampshire, Michigan, and Chicago. Beth also serves as a chaplain for several international disaster relief organizations, and when she can, she loves to get home to Boston to sail with her father. So welcome, Beth.
So Ms. Parks is going to be my assistant today because I'm using a Prezi, and the Prezi mouse doesn't seem to have the right advancing feature. So I'm going to rely on, because I need to stand over here to talk with my. So personal learning networks. How many of you have ever heard, first, how many of you know what a personal learning network is? 1, 2, 3, okay. How many of you, before you read this, had never seen the term, had no idea? Anybody? Oh, okay. Well, good. I hope this is a very interesting and enlightening experience. I have used not a lot, I have probably 3 videos in here. Try to put some humor into it, try to lighten it up a little. I want to make it fun because I think we get stuck sometimes in thinking everything is so drudgery, and we don't really need to. That's not what this is. This is about finding tools to help you connect with other people, both here and around the world. So keep going. It just zoomed in. So my goal for today, go ahead and click. My goal is just to introduce you to the personal learning networks so that you can see the world of social media in a different way and recognize that it can serve you in your professional development. Go ahead.
Social media. 62% of adults worldwide now use social media. An average internet user spends 16 hours online a month, while an average American spends 32 hours online. 79% of US population is online, which puts it in 5th place. Countries with a higher percentage are Japan at 80%, France at 80%, Germany at 82%, and the UK at 85%. 456 million people make China the country with the most people online. Facebook is the biggest social network, and it now has over 900 million users worldwide. 43% of its users are male and 57% female. Average users will spend 20 minutes on Facebook per visit. They will like 2.7 billion pages a day and upload 250 million photos. An average Facebook user has 130 friends and likes 80 pages. Brazil has the highest number of online friends with an average of 481 per user, and Japan the lowest with an average of just 29 per user. Twitter is the world's 2nd largest social network, which has over 140 million active users who tweet 340 million times a day. An average Twitter user has 126 followers. 40% of Twitter users do not tweet anything. 0.05% of total Twitter population attracts almost 50% of all the users. 25% of all Twitter users have no followers. 8% of Americans use Twitter. YouTube is the world's largest video network. It has over 800 million unique visitors each month. In 2011, YouTube had more than 1 trillion views, or around 140 views for every person on Earth. And while you have watched this video, over 150 hours of other videos have been uploaded to YouTube. Thanks for watching. For more of the infographics show, please subscribe.
So who's inspired by the fact that we have all this stuff? I mean, really. I saw one hand. Next, go ahead. And to the rest of us, do you feel like it's just time to? Go ahead. Well, our friend Bruce. Our friend Bruce, are we there? Back on. Our friend Bruce, do I really need one more thing? Time to go home? Time to retire? No. Let's see what else Bruce might do with his free time. Oh, I started the wrong place. That's all right. We can go ahead and hit the next one. We'll go back to that later. So should Bruce go back to school to learn all these things? No, I think that we can find other ways. Go ahead and advance. Through our learning networks, I think that, like the $6 million man, we can have a better, a stronger, and a faster way. And that's just through learning to take control of the tools that are out there and finding the tools that work for you, and then engaging in conversation. And that's really the central focus of a personal learning network, is just finding the people that are going to be able to contribute to your learning. That there's experts. Most experts are probably not going to be within the radius of your neighborhood or your school, but we're going to be able to find those experts through links on the internet and friend them, and then maybe tweet a question out and put their name in it and see what happens. Go ahead. So I've been looking at a book by Will Richardson. He's the author of a book called Personal Learning Networks, and I liked his definition: a set of connections to people and resources, both offline and online, who enrich our learning at a moment's notice. So our learning has really shifted in the way it's become available to us. It's not just you have to go to the library anymore, which we all know. A lot of this is not new, so I'm just kind of hopefully putting it into a new package for you. So as I said, in our old network, our networks are not new, right? We have all these places that we've got community, we've got our neighbors, our friends, colleagues, sports, things we do. So just like you're in control of all these relationships that you have around your house. Go ahead. The next one is, because of the web technologies, go ahead, you have a whole new wide network that you can access. And the personal learning network really is just about taking those tools, meeting new people. Go back. You go back one. You go back with the. There you go. So we can get a lot of informal learning done with our personal learning networks through interchange, through tweets, through reading blogs. We build new friendships. We do that here too. I mean, the fact that we're part of this organization creates friendships. But then when we leave here, the people that we know in this organization are going to know other people that we can connect and learn from, which is going to help us. Sharing, when you begin to take your own, the things that you're learning, and you blog about them, or you tweet about them, or you ask a question, other people are going to respond. And that's just taking hold of your whole new online professional network or personal network. So just a couple of the ideas. They're the people we turn to find answers, the sources we follow for ideas. We can do it on campus, face-to-face, online, at conferences like these. We find the experts and the specialists who are local and global. So when we take an idea and you add your own creativity or knowledge and then share your new idea, this is really one of the core ideas about the personal learning network. That you're online, let's say you have an idea, or you hear an idea from someone else that you've been reading their blog, and all of a sudden you think, hey, if I just take my idea and I can mesh it with their idea, that actually might be a solution that someone else has been looking for. And so that's a time where you can start to reorganize that idea and put it out there, and you could be solving someone else's problem. People are going to start to follow you, and where you're posting your ideas and where you're learning. It's really becoming an integration of all these pieces for you to take these together and to bring them together and to find new ways of finding really good tools for learning. Go ahead. Sorry, So what I want you to do is, we're going to watch a video. It's about 5 minutes, and it's about 21st century learning. And I want you to write down just keywords or phrases. It's going to go through it pretty fast, and I don't want you to miss some of the thoughts or ideas that are spoken by writing too much. So just if you hear something that sparks your interest and is curious, and we'll talk a little bit about after we watch it. Go ahead.
Probably the most important thing for kids growing up today is the love of embracing change.
How do we educate our children to take their place in the economies of the 21st century? How do we do that, given that we can't anticipate what the economy will look like at the end of next week?
In 1931, my grandmother, bottom left for you guys over here, graduated from the 8th grade. She went to school to get the information because that's where the information lived. It was in the books, it was inside the teacher's head, and she needed to go there to get the information because that's how you learned.
The current system of education was designed and conceived and structured for a different age.
Are we getting overwhelmed with an always connected, multitasking lifestyle? And is that going to lead to less sophisticated thoughts as we move away from the slower, deeper, contemplative state of reading?
We have a wireless building, the kids use laptops, and the reason we do that is so that we can put them away when it's actually not the best tool for them to be learning with.
I would imagine that it would take a great attitude. I would imagine that you'd have to be pretty aware of your surroundings and appreciating the small wonders that you're starting to see in your new world. And I think you'd have to be really authentic. You'd have to be really true to yourself in order to get through what you're being exposed to.
It's an approach built much more around intrinsic motivation, around the desire to do things because they matter, because we like it, because they're interesting, because they're part of something important.
But I think it's important to remember that the great driver of scientific innovation and technological innovation has been the historic increase in connectivity and our ability to reach out and exchange ideas with other people, and to borrow other people's hunches and combine them with our hunches and turn them into something new. That really has, I think, been, more than anything else, the primary engine of creativity and innovation over the last 600 or 700 years.
Autonomy, the urge to direct our own lives, mastery, the desire to get better and better at something that matters, and purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. These are the building blocks of an entirely new operating system.
The world needs opportunities for new leaders and new ideas. Kids need opportunities to lead and succeed. Are you ready to make the match? Because the world's problems shouldn't be the human family's heirloom.
My wish is for you to help a strong, sustainable movement to educate every child about food, to inspire families to cook again, and to empower people everywhere to fight obesity.
And so yes, it's true we're more distracted. But what has happened that is really miraculous and marvelous over the last 15 years is that we have so many new ways to connect and so many new ways to reach out and find other people who have that missing piece that will complete the idea we're working on, or to stumble serendipitously across some amazing new piece of information that we can use to build and improve our own ideas.
What we're saying by valuing informal learning is not that we should abandon formal learning, but that we should get those working together in a much more coordinated way.
there. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit about this. How many of you, let's see, do you have any words that you wrote down that you think are going to be impacting your learning or student learning just because of what's going on? Sure.
Basically, no going back. We've opened the can of worms. And, as much as all the knowledge that we have today, it's good, the basis, but going forward.
Are you going to retire or are you going to keep going? You're going to keep going.
I'm going to retire and keep going.
All right. Yay. All right. Anybody else have words that you wrote down in the back? Do you feel more empowered by understanding what you're, empowered, maybe can you explain that? They're empowered how? With what?
Well, I think with learning, you should just feel empowered. They can find a thing to do with something they can have to be able to understand.
Okay.
The walls and rules that you're in their way. Do I feel more empowered? In a lot of ways, but I'm also probably just as frustrated as a 20-year-old by the stupid wall.
The 20-year-old what?
By a 20-year-old by running into a stupid wall. Like not
Yep.
borrowing from the library because of borrowing policy based on in-track dates. So, yes and no.
Okay. Up here, I heard a.
Yeah, I was just thinking humanity, meaning, I don't know if anyone else has this, but I get ADD when I go out on the web. Unless I'm really under the gun and I need a specific piece of information. If I'm looking more at broad topics, man, it's hard to wrangle it and discipline myself to hone in. I think sometimes use it effectively. It's interesting. I
Right.
bounce around a lot, but sometimes I finish and think, I think I need to look at that.
So in that regard, I think it's helpful to see that we need to have a purpose. That you are, if you have a specific area that you're learning in, that you want to connect to a couple of different people that do what you do but are in another area. Anybody else have any keywords that came up?
I believe the intrinsic motivation.
Yep.
I think along the lines of what you're saying is that, when you have something that you need to learn about or want to get more informed about, the opportunities to do that are so much more than they used to be. The information is not just in books and a teacher's head anymore.
Right.
So, but I think that part of why I came to this session is because I feel like there's so much out there, and you can get so distracted that how do you maximize the learning for the purpose that we have. You can looking at the statistics of how much time people spend online, and it's a lot of time, but if you're going to spend that time, I'm always about optimizing. How do I get the most out of that activity? I'm not sure I'm at a place where I feel like that time that I spend accomplished what I wanted it to.
Which I think is interesting because we're at a point where we are so intrigued by all that's out there, and we want to learn about all this that's out there, and yet we are struggling with, okay, I really got to get back to this, and yet there's a real tension that I face. Researching for this is like off there, off there, and I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get this done, and I think that we struggle with that. Don't you feel like that's a big, it's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm doing work looking for something that I need for la la la, and then I get off onto something else, and I'm going, oh, this is so cool, and it's like, wow, I just had fun while I was trying to do work, and yet I didn't know if I really got the work done, but I may have learned something else, and go ahead.
So I'm an instruction learner here, and what you just described is what we would hope all research is like. But, that when it takes time,
Right.
it's distracting. I don't know how many people read a dictionary when they were little. You look something up in the dictionary and then, oh, what's that word? And end up with other things in the dictionary. Online searching, using Google, going into Twitter, they all have that same explosive growth of interest. So
I'm not sure I went from word to word in a dictionary the way I would do it on the internet.
One of the big things that I see happening today, myself, I really believe it's a very good thing. I read statistics somewhere the other day that said, basically, when I went to college, everything that I learned in 4 or 5 years of college is now on Wikipedia. And we can look it up. But what I'm finding is that among our children coming up and the next generations, we are doing less and less with teaching things and more with teaching how to learn. And that's what I think a lot of this is about, is how do you network things together, how do you bring all of those disparate thoughts into a cohesive whole. And it's not easy, especially for people who learn things.
Learn things, is that what you said?
Things instead of how to learn.
Okay. Yeah. You don't know. One of the things that my team discovered a few months ago was called Scoop It. Have you heard of Scoop It? Anybody ever heard of Scoop It? Anybody use it? I got one or, okay. So Scoop It is a curation tool, and you go in and create a page, and you can pick topics. And so I think at our CTL, we have 10 topics, and I manage about 5 of them, and then the rest of them are split up with the team members. And one of them is personal learning networks. And so basically I go in, I make the topic PLN, personal networks, and then I can choose where it's going to go crawl the web. I mean, Google or whatever else. And then every day, whenever I want, I can click into where it is, and it just has this short posting summary of these different articles or things that have come up regarding personal learning networks. And I can choose to click on the Scoop It, and it'll just be added to that topic that I've created, and it's there for me to go back to whenever I want. And then people can come along and they can re-scoop the things that I've done, put on their pages. And so it's kind of a curation tool that holds it in a place. It's very easy to do. You can put a little widget thing in your toolbar that you can click on it if you're on an article, and just it opens right up, and you hit Scoop It, and it just sucks the article right into your Scoop It page. And so it makes it really easy. It also connects right to your Facebook or Twitter. And so once you scoop it, you can just hit publish, and it'll go to those places if you want it to. And so we were really looking for a tool that could be, we didn't have to do so many things to actually make it work for us. I mean, it's just too hard to go every day and go on to Facebook and post our updates, go on to, Twitter and and that's really what Hootsuite and TweetDeck help you do, is they combine. But with this Scoop It, I love that. It's a great resource. At the end, I've got our link up there for you to see. So who else? I'm sure you've got some other words that came up that you liked or heard or intrigued you. Yes? Susan, can you answer or contribute to that in any way?
figure out what works for you, what you could take, and what you could look at and say, yeah, right. I saw the sign the other day where somewhere it's like, quote, not everything you read on the internet is true. It was attributed to Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. Yesterday in that session, somebody brought up the idea of apps and how the younger people love the apps. They're very quick, they're very easy, there's not a lot of glitches. Like we've had to, when we want a new program back 10, 15, 20 years ago, we run into all kinds of problems, we troubleshoot, yada, yada. Well, if their app doesn't work, they're on to the next one. They're not going to sit around and try and email the person, the vendor, and say, how come this doesn't work, and I want it, and yada. So I think there's a very different approach. One thing I want to say is I think that collectively in this room with most of our ages are, one of the references that was made there was 1965. Did you see, what was that reference to? The computer and MIT. I was born in 65. And so to go from, I was in high school and we had the punch cards. My best class in school to date was my typing class. Best class, pretty much the only thing I use now that I'm out of high school. I'm so happy I took that. All right, anybody else have any words you wanted to throw out?
Yeah, one of the things that struck me is going through the list of all the different ones. It's like, I know these, but I don't know those.
Like what?
Well, there were several of them that had popped up that I'm just not familiar with. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I gotta get online and find out what those are.
What do you, like, do you think of one that?
I'm trying to,
Ted?
it was more an impression and I hadn't seen that logo before. And I'll tell you, we've talked about this before. Lots of times I'll go on, I'll be looking at something on a source that I know, and I'll see a reference to something I don't know. Off.
Right.
Another tab open up.
How many of you are familiar with the TED Talks?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that is a phenomenal. That's where some of those people that were in that last video, they took snippets out of there. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So we were just talking about that. You can hit the next one. Anybody think, can you think of a way this is going to change your learning? Does anybody have what you've already come up with, what you're going to do?
It used to be that we would learn something like a book report or a table of numbers or something like that. Now you're learning how to find those things, how to find them as references as opposed to finding them as answers.
Okay. All right, let's go. So on the side of tools, there's gazillions. And about a year ago when I started researching personal learning networks, I had Facebook, LinkedIn, I was using YouTube and Skype and podcasts. So all of a sudden I realized I'm reading about a personal learning network and I was like, I had no idea what it was, and I thought, well, I'll look at it. I have a personal learning network. Probably all of you do too, just because of the nature of the business that we're in. I've recently started using Pinterest, Twitter, and Scoop It. I created a blog. I actually took time to write one reflection on a video that was by Clay Shirky. And it just takes too much for me to sit down and write to that level. So I have a blog up. I won't be blogging anymore, I don't think. But there are people who love to write, and that's I love to find new technology tools, and so that's where I'm going to find ways of posting the information that I'm learning. But I'm ADHD. I gotta be quick about it. I gotta keep moving, or my attention gets lost. Other tools. People have any tools that you're using? You could just share with us and tell us how you're using it. Does anybody tweet? Put your hands up higher, both of you. Okay, we have 2 people that tweet. Do you tweet? That's all. I tweet this much too. But it just, it's a mental stumbling block, right, for some of us. It's just kind of like, everybody's doing this. Why do I need it? And I decided that I couldn't let that stop me because this isn't going away. And if you decide not to do that, you are consciously making the choice of separating yourself further and further from these technologies. And honestly, in our age ranges, careers, we don't want to do that if we want to stay employable. So I just really want to encourage you to, even if you just sign up, get a name, tweet one thing, I will be really proud of you. And if someone says, do you tweet? You could say, yeah. And they say, do you have a personal learning network? And you could say, yeah. Yeah.
So to me, the benefit of Twitter is not so much like, for me, when I'm tweeting, but more following. And it was kind of a switch click for me when I started
Speak louder.
Twitter and found a couple of people that I knew that I was always interested in what they had to say, or if I had been at a conference or something. And from that, I looked at who they follow and added a bunch of the people that they follow. Like I looked at what
Yep.
they were tweeting, and I said, I want to follow that person. So I created my list of people who I follow that way. And I tweet, not every day or even every week necessarily. But when I am looking at what other people are tweeting, I am just learning like crazy. That's where I get that ADD thing. Where I'm like, oh my God, look at that, oh my God, look at that. And so that's what I think where Twitter is very powerful.
Okay.
I want to second that. Twitter is generally useless if you don't use it. It is about the network effect. And, some people's network is running that and share and Lady Gaga and that, right? I'm happy. But there is a huge community of people who do what we do on Twitter, and people who do things related to what we do that we never talk about and related to what we do. That, it just gets very, very exponential. And I find it incredible about it. I'm kind of kidding on Twitter. But I also tell people who haven't used it that it is for people like me who are broken. If you still have the ability.
Broken? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right.
If you still have the ability to focus, Twitter's not for you. I'm broken. I can't focus anymore. I can do 17 things at once, but don't expect me to just do one thing at a time. And so Twitter is great for me because I can scan it for a second and go off and do something else, and scan it for a second and go off and do something else.
You weren't in the section where.
Yeah, that swirl with the shiny thing. But I honestly think, that there is a piece of me that is broken that allows me to do that. And I don't know if I would necessarily encourage everybody to embrace themselves that way. Focus is a marvelous thing.
Well, you must not have been in the session yesterday, the instructional design session where we talked about nobody can multitask.
Well, I'm not necessarily doing it well, but
Okay.
It's that ability to sit down and do just one thing for a long time. That is broken. But Twitter's awesome. Yeah. I don't get on Twitter every day, but when I do, I feel like, I scan through and I have a sense of what are the hot issues in my field. And, when I hear people talk, did you read such and such article, did you see such and such? I'm thinking, ooh, and I get on Twitter and it's all there. And so when I'm doing that, I feel much more aware of what's happening in our broader community. And without having to read the Chronicle, read, Sentinel, read, like we used to read like certain journals. I do this instead now.
How long have you been on Twitter?
Maybe, good question, year and a half.
Were you hesitant to get on it to start with?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about in the back? Were you hesitant? Or did you just think, oh, I got to do this? Or.
A bunch of folks I knew came back from computers and libraries talking about the school tool that allowed them to all meet up for dinner.
The school tool what?
That allowed them all to meet up for dinner at a conference. And I said, that sounds really interesting. And so got on it, and I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But I also, I get into
I was just, Bruce, you had a thought.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know one that's not up there,
What's that?
CCUMC-L.
That is absolutely true. You know, I had a thought about that this morning, and I was thinking, how can we engage other professionals in our fields with the CCUMC and get their expertise and input? And what occurred to me was, Susan, you talked about the new tool that you have that you created for the faculty. What did you call it? Well, what?
It's actually a social networking site that we're using for faculty development, but it has a very Facebook-rich feel. We built it on using a software called Social Engine, and it's called Conduit. And it's just rolling out. But
So I had the thought, why couldn't we take that and put it on our homepage and put up questions there that it's not just limited to us, but it starts, we can invite other people to, hey, go look at this, make this part of an RSS feed so that you can follow the trends. And that might be a way we could get more people not only to be part of our organization, but we're going to start to bring in the knowledge base of people, the thousands of people that we don't know that do this. And it can have really, I think it might have an impact on our learning. And I think that'd be cool.
We have talked about the possibility of putting a widget up to the outline, and I think that's one of those things that the board needs to go forward and keep talking about. New thinking.
So, at SUNY, we just rolled out a pilot-based SUNY learning classes, which they were combined social networking with online discussions, repositories, documentation, and that kind of stuff in one place. That, to me, one of the advantages of social networking over listserv is it's not my email.
It's out of your email.
It's out of my email.
If you guys can just speak a little louder so everybody can hear what
So
you're.
it's out of my email. So we're doing a session tomorrow, I think, on innovative instruction from SUNY, and we're going to talk about the learning commons.
Okay. All right. Anybody else use some tool that they feel that they actually learn from? Go ahead.
I have more of a question that goes back to my original word, which is management. I'm curious. These are tools, and if you think of them like carpenter's tools, a carpenter doesn't just go to his workshop and look around and pick up willy-nilly this tool and that tool and that. They go in with a project and they cut the saw, they cut the wood, they hammer, etc. And if we see these the same way, we don't need all of the tools. Maybe we do, I don't know. But my question is, so I have 8 to 10 hours of work a day, and I have to section off time to use the tools. And I'm curious if people section off some, from 7 to 8 in the morning is when they're going to use these tools, and then they do it again at 4 or something, or do you just do it on the downtime, or how do people manage using these tools? Maybe that's kind of what you're getting to with PLM. That's what I was.
Yep, exactly. Go ahead.
I think it goes back to the necessity of having the purpose. What do you want to do with it? What is your goal? And I think that kind of drives it.
There was a statistic I read. Well, first of all, let me ask this question. How many of you read or get on your Facebook before you go to work in the morning? Come on, raise your hands, all of you who do it. Bruce, everybody put your hands up if you check your Facebook. Well, the statistic said that 60% of us do, which does not, I'm shocked. That is just not what is showing up here, which I'm surprised. But how many of you have a LinkedIn account? Okay, the rest of you, right now I am going to hound you and say, you need to get a LinkedIn account. Well, it's the professional way of making connections. It's kind of the official professional way. And I would suggest that it's once you can connect to me, there's the first connection or whatever, and then you can see that I have connections to different organizations all over the country. And you may realize that I have that connection and you want to work there someday. You're going to use that. That's what LinkedIn is there for. That's what's so powerful about it. Anybody want to share why they think it's powerful and people need to have one? Bruce.
My daughter worked in she's a technical writing editor, basically, and she worked for a company in the Boston area that decided to close the doors and move to another part of the country. She didn't want to. She used her LinkedIn friends to look around and find another job. She was unemployed for less than a week, and basically now she's working as a technical writer editor for the publishing company that publishes National Geographic. So she gets to get business credit from Bill Spears.
Can you stop the recording for a minute? It's done? Facebook, just to keep your name in front of other people is really how I'm using it. I'm learning that I don't want to put anything really crazy. I had a deck built on the back of my house. Okay, I put a picture up of it. I don't think that's going to keep me from getting a job down the road, right? I think we really have to, we are learning that, Facebook, you don't want to get in trouble, and the kids are not as good at keeping themselves from putting that stuff on, but I think it's really important that we keep our connections going. I think we should all be together on Facebook. If, people here, we should connect with each other, and on LinkedIn, because we're going to need each other, because these times are definitely, they're different, and I think we need the strength of what this personal learning network is, both for our professional to keep connected. Anybody else want to talk about that? Yeah.
Another point, one of the good things about LinkedIn is finding your colleagues. You don't move them until you get on the chain.
Yep.
But you can always get them through their LinkedIn.
Yeah.
One more comment. I was just up on that. I have a lot of communications with people who have moved on to other jobs, and because we were connected on LinkedIn, we still can communicate with each other. So I have a lot of inbox things that way. But the other thing that's happening on LinkedIn now is there are groups forming in LinkedIn. So and that's another opportunity for CCUMC. And there are many groups that are actively posting information, resources, posting questions that people are responding to. And so if you find groups that are in your area of interest, that's another vehicle for your personal learning network.
Those posts, I don't know if any of you, we learned through someone came in and taught us about LinkedIn a little bit. If you get in a group and there's postings, and if you were one of the first few people to answer those posts, if someone asks a question, you start to become ranked in a way that you're very knowledgeable, and you're given some strength somehow. There's something in there that's going to be, you will be, somehow they've got a way to put you up in the list as far as your strengths. What? Yeah. Someone behind you.
I feel like LinkedIn is kind of a generational thing, and I will say that when I was hired mother just joined LinkedIn, we really wouldn't be kissing jacket photos. I wouldn't show Facebook with you guys because you have to know your audience. And once my mom was on there, it was just a whole different audience. But all the groups I'm on LinkedIn are nothing but spam. I don't know if they're familiar with Facebook anymore, so if there's new stuff going on, I don't even see it. But I think that there is something weirdly generational
Exactly. But it's the tools that you've decided to use, and you may stop using those. You may change those tools on a regular basis, and I would say you probably should, because that's encouraging you to keep learning exactly what's going on. Not that you have to know all about it, not that you have to be the expert, but to some degree we have to keep up, and I just want to encourage you to do that. And with Facebook, I want to say that I don't connect with anybody I don't know personally, but I did challenge myself after Christmas to see if I could increase my Facebook friends by 100 over this year. I started with 600. That's what I had on January 1st. And I've been able to add 120 people till now. All people that I know personally. Now, there's people that I went to high school with that friend me once in a while, and I will look at it, I'll say okay, and then I'll watch for a couple days to see what, and if it's not something I know them, but I'm just gonna get rid of them, because so I have been, I edit this, because I'm like, I don't need certain people in there that I don't really know, but I do know the people personally. I have actually had a conversation with them. LinkedIn is different. I feel like that's where I'm gonna make as many connections as I can, and most of the people that I know on Facebook, I can get in the LinkedIn, and then they know gazillions, right? So anyways, let's go on to the next. We just talked about the other tools. So when you're on those tools, I just want to suggest and encourage you to find a tool and then to begin to converse and begin to contribute information. And then someday somebody will be able to, you might ask for help and somebody will respond to you with an answer that you need. A couple things to try. Friend me if you want. You know me. No, that's up to you. Go ahead. So I just want to say I think your PLNs are strong. Even though you don't think you had one, I think you do. And being on the listserv, being on Facebook, you have a couple of things that you're using. And I think that because we're passionate about what we do, that makes we've got a tight connection. I think this group is a really unique organization to belong to. I see a lot of it's a very awesome group. There's a tight, close-knit, and we want to keep those links, those connections growing and be stronger. So I think that we're problem solvers. Go ahead. Just in summary, I think that we do a lot of anticipation and we innovate. And with those things, I think we can, we're always going to be looking at the tools, go ahead, and just being able to harness them. So I just did my Prezi all over the place here, but so go ahead. This is just the last. What? Well, there was only like 39 slides. I don't know. I'm sorry. But this is the one, I just want you to know that you are invaluable. If you think that you're getting too old to do this anymore, I don't think so. I think you need to start saying to yourself, no, I have 50 years of really good experience, and I'm good enough to be able to keep learning these tools, which are sometimes only this deep, and yet all of the knowledge we have from the past, assemble editing, is way deep, and there's learning a few more little tools, these lightweight little things. It's easy. We can do it easily. Don't be intimidated by it. So thank you for attending the session, Personal Learning Networks, but please remember, one more. And the last slide is, there's one more with my information on it. Maybe. And those are just some of my connections. Thank you for coming. I enjoyed the conversation.